As for the games themselves, the games I mentioned, is Clemson on upset alert against Georgia Tech? That's an ACC game.
They are.
But that's an 11 in the morning game.
Got to get up for that, right? I mean, that's a big one. I think they are. I mean, I think a lot of people are liking that number because of what we saw from Clemson against Troy. Now, do you think that they're hearing that maybe and using that little bit of that, motivation? Sure, I think there's more talent, no doubt about it, when it comes to Clemson on that roster. But I think Haynes Kane's a gamer, and I really like what Brett Key's doing over there, bringing in Gideon. I mean, I like everything Georgia Tech's about. But again, everyone, that's kind of the popular pick. I'm not trying to be, I don't want to say. I'm not trying to get into exactly, everyone's picking Georgia Tech, so I'm going to for sure say Georgia Tech. But I like that side of the number. Yeah.
Well, and I think Clemson has not been on point. I mean, we'll hear Sark talking about where his team is and not playing to standards. I mean, Clemson, I think, would argue with all their returning talent and players that they're not playing to that standard yet. And, if Dabo Swinney, what did he give his team a grade of in the 58 against Clemson? Well, it wasn't much better against Troy. And now they're playing an 11 in the morning game at Atlanta, Georgia.
It's going to be popping there, too. Ramblin' Wreck, Georgia Tech.
Also, Vanderbilt, South Carolina. I know Tennessee, Georgia, and LSU, Florida. That'll get the big headlines and should. Those are those are 4 big brands, and those are huge games. But Vanderbilt, South Carolina. This is Diego Pavia against Lenora Sellers
at night
at Charlotte. What do we call it?
It's Columbia.
Columbia, South Carolina. I love that game. I love watching Diego Pavia play.
He's a gamer, man.
And I love watching the Lenora Sellers play.
I do too.
La Heisman, they're calling him down there in Columbia. I love that game because I think LSU will beat Florida.
They should.
Well, I don't know who's going to win the Georgia-Tennessee game.
I feel like I do.
Who?
I'm going to go with Georgia.
You a Gunnar Stockton believer?
Yes.
Sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
I think that number has gone down to close to 2.5, 3 for Georgia as a favorite, and I think Tennessee's impressing people. Their offense is awesome, but I'm going to trust on Kirby Smart in Georgia, yeah.
Okay. Because if Georgia wins that game, look out because they're so good at home. Texas is going to find that out. I think Georgia's last home loss was way back in, it's been forever.
This one's in Tennessee.
I know that. I'm talking about
when Texas goes out there.
No, I'm saying if they win this game, this is their toughest SEC road game.
Yes, they have a lot of good home games for them.
And they get Bama, they get Texas, Ole Miss is all at home.
All those away games were last year.
Yeah, and so now this is the one, and they could lose to Tennessee and still do what they want to do.
Tough place to play for sure.
They get this one on the road at Knoxville in front of 108,000.
They might be humming.
And then host those teams I mentioned. Look out. Because that would show you that Gunnar Stockton is to be believed in, because to go on the road and whatever we think of where Josh Heupel has that program, to go on the road and beat Tennessee at Tennessee with what they have a very good defense still, and they have a good offense with Josh Heupel, to go in there and win would be huge for them.
Massive win
with all the questions that they still have. They have not looked great so far.
Haven't. And Tennessee has, to their credit, they've looked really good. But
yes,
small sample size against bad teams.
I'm eager to see that. Now I know I said I think Florida will beat LSU, and I do, but I also think
LSU will beat Florida.
LSU will beat Florida, but I do think Florida will give them their best game.
Well, they have to, right?
Well, for sure. Whatever happened last week with South Florida, and I give South Florida a lot of credit. I think that's a really good football team that's got good pieces, game. And they're going to play Miami on. We talk about these huge games.
I like the 17.5 points there.
They've got an opportunity. I don't know that they can compete on the lines of scrimmage consistently with Miami, because that's where Miami's the best.
Sure,
really, that's why they're a national championship. Well, they get that game. They could wear out South Florida's front because this isn't going to be Boise State, where that Boise State team melted in the humidity of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That was a 10-7 game into the third quarter. It was anybody's ball game, and Boise State's guys just melted. It was like, we're done. There was fake punt.
Yeah, once they did the fake punt, it was cooked.
It was over.
Cooked like the team.
and as we said at the time, and that was a Thursday night game, no, you can't simulate that humidity in the mountains of Idaho, right? You just got to deal with it. And they got down there, and they were done by the second half. And
in Tampa Bay,
South Florida practices in that, and they're fine. And they got stronger as the game went on. Boise did not. Now, the Florida game, I will admit I didn't watch enough of it, but Billy Napier's teams will do that. Where, you have good team, but now you're playing a Miami team that knows they've got opportunity now to really get to 3-0 ahead of a game they have with LSU the next week, because Miami's next two are South Florida, then LSU. they're trying to build for Mario Cristobal. And I know Mario Cristobal is not Mr. Coaching Genius come fourth quarter, but I just think when the lines of scrimmage they've established there now, when you watch them play Notre Dame, they could be the team that wears out South Florida. Because South Florida, what they don't have is the size and the depth that a Miami does. And I know the number's big at 17, but Miami could kind of just stretch that game out as the game goes because their defense has improved. They've got 2 full games of tape to watch South Florida. I don't know. That's one where, and if you haven't watched Miami play, even if you did against Notre Dame, just watch those offensive linemen. They're really good.
And watch number 4 on the defense line, Ruben Bain. That kid's going to be a stud.
That
in the
offensive
NFL.
line is what puts them into
Carson
a national title
really good,
conversation.
which he is. Yeah,
they're outstanding. And then, you've got the LSU. So what is Florida? What is DJ Lagway? Can DJ Lagway take his team on the road? And as we've told you, that LSU game is a revenge game for the Bayou Bengals. They lost in Gainesville last year, and it really was their last hope of trying to make the 12-team playoff. It derailed them. They were favored in the game. Garrett Nussmeier remembers that game. Brian Kelly remembers that game. Now they're coming back home at night in Baton Rouge. That is a huge test for the Florida Gators. I don't know if they have it in them. Billy Napier's teams have not shown the ability to have that in them, is what I would say. And then there's the A&M Notre Dame game, which we will preview closer tomorrow with an A&M insider. But you have to pick Notre Dame because A&M hadn't one of these road ranked games in a decade, into 11 years.
Yeah.
I can't pick them to win this one. It's been a decade.
The numbers, I believe, 6.5, 7, 2. That's the thing.
Well, the line, they could keep it inside a touchdown, I think. But because Notre Dame's in a place where they've already got a loss. They lost to Miami on
back's
Labor
already
Day.
against the wall.
They lose. If you look at their strength of schedule the rest of the way, they may not have enough quality wins the rest of the way. Now, a win over A&M, who will probably end up an 8 or 9 win team in the SEC, they need that on their resume because they don't have a lot of quality wins to come on their schedule. So this is
no
huge.
conference championship, obviously,
right,
for them
exactly.
to play.
They don't get to play in a conference title game where A&M could lose this game, battle their way back, and put themselves, still there. But Notre Dame doesn't have that luxury. That's a bigger game for Notre Dame, and I think having already taken a loss, I think Marcus Freeman's team will be on point here.
I do too. I like Notre Dame in this. We saw C.J. Carr, kind of like what we saw with J.J. McCarthy in that game, not to the full extent that J.J. McCarthy did just in the fourth quarter. He scored 3 touchdowns, but I saw a young quarterback with C.J. Carr really grow in that game in Miami. Tough place to play. Another time where you have to go
down double
the
digits
heat.
and came all the way back and tied it.
Hard to simulate also in South Bend, Indiana. I can tell you that, how hot it was probably in Miami in that kind of game and that environment too. It was rowdy out there. So I was impressed with that. Again, want to see what the O-line can do because they got somewhat exposed. For how good the O-line is supposed to be for Notre Dame. That defensive line really held their will and did a good job of getting pressure on C.J. Carr. And their defensive line had an issue against Miami's offensive line. The interior from both sides.
I think everybody's going to have an issue with Miami's
a legit team,
from what
man.
I've seen. And Mario Cristobal, whatever we think of his game management and X's and O's, that guy's a really good teacher of the offensive line.
And they were one game away last year, right at the end, if they didn't lose to Syracuse, which they did.
Well, and
they
I'll
were
say
in the
this,
playoffs automatically.
What was the Achilles heel of the Aggies last year when they fell apart in November? Their defense.
Right.
And their defense has not been great. UTSA scored 24 on them. They have not been great defensively. And they have Torian York at linebacker, but they're rebuilding their defensive line. And this is a Notre Dame outfit that, as you said, their offensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the country. Jeremiah Love, he would like to get back into the Heisman conversation, and A&M was susceptible to big run plays and big runs last year. Jeremiah Love can rip them off.
Turn that thing on, yeah.
And I think you're right about C.J. Carr. I think I watched him grow up against Miami. They didn't win the game, but he learned a lot, and now he'll be at home with the Aggies coming to town. Love this slate of games.
Oh, man.
Big-time stuff.
Sneaky good slate.
But unlike Labor Day weekend where the implications in this weekend are huge.
Yeah.
Because you got conference games and you've got conference standings and you've got big team, Clemson has already taken a loss. They can't afford another one. Georgia Tech could be right in the mix in the ACC with a win. We just talked about A&M and Notre Dame and how big those games are. I mean, Billy Napier's job, if they lose that and then lose to Miami, look out. I mean,
and then you got Texas after that bye week. You could be looking at 1-4 Florida Gators.
Yeah,
very, very good chance.
Yeah, because I said Miami plays LSU. No, Miami plays Florida after Florida plays LSU.
Yeah.
So, and gosh, Florida is going to get beat up by LSU. Whoever wins that game, I think it'll be LSU.
I think it'll be
that's a physical group.
I don't like the line on that because it's 7.5 for LSU. I think LSU is going to win, but Like
we'll make our picks to click tomorrow. I'm just talking about the
backs
games
against
right
the wall
now.
right away. And we're looking at it September. Obviously today's September 11th. Backs are against the wall for some of these teams, including Notre Dame. So